So in this article, we learned that there was a scientific study that was conducted by Wakefield and his colleagues where they found a correlation in 12 children who developed an inflammatory bowel condition that progressed to autism after receiving the MMR vaccine. And this created this widespread panic in the public that vaccinations would perhaps harm children. However, there were several limitations to the study, to this study. Namely, it was a very small sample size that was likely not a representation of the general population of children that are exposed to vaccines. Second, there was no unaffected comparison group. So, in other words, there was no control group. Third, the possibility of it being just a coincidence that the timing of autism diagnosis and MMR vaccines overlaps was never addressed, right? I mean, it could just be that there happened to be more awareness of autism diagnosis at the same time these MMR vaccines were happening. And fourth, there was no confirmatory laboratory analyses that were run to test the causal relationship between bowel disease and autism, or between vaccines and autism. So since the publication of this study, all but one of the authors has redacted the claim that the MMR vaccine can lead to autism. In addition, several large-scale studies on hundreds of thousands of children have been conducted to test whether there is an association between autism and vaccinations. And the results are that there is absolutely no correlation between the two. For example, a study that looked at this, over 1 million children and their vaccinations and their components saw that there was no causal relationship whatsoever. So, therefore, according to scientific evidence, the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine does not cause children to develop autism, despite what some people might think. So let's look at this example to just further illustrate this point. Okay, in California, suppose there's a man named Walter, and he enjoys going to the beach. So during the summer, he notices that as hot dog sales increase, so do the number of shark attacks along the coast. So Walter's really worried, because does that mean that hot dog sales cause shark attacks? Clearly no, right? There's no correlation there, or causation there. It just happens to correlate that as it gets warmer, more people are eating hot dogs on the beach and more people are getting in the water where there are sharks. So we can assume then that hot dog sales do not cause shark attacks, even though they are correlated. Correlation in data does not necessarily mean causation. If a correlation is found between two different variables, it opens the possibility of a causal relationship. However, that causal relationship can only be established if an actual experiment is performed wherein all of the variables that could possibly be part of this system need to be manipulated so that you control for just the one variable that you're trying to estimate as being a cause of the correlation. So that's an important thing to think about, okay? So now we're going to watch a video about sugar and hyperactivity in children, and it's kind of a fun video to watch.